Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tritita Aziza Shawalia with my dear Mahendra. We are from group 7 and we're going to explain about methodology in teaching and learning. Learning objective. After learning this chapter, the teachers to be will be able to choose some method to teach their English for specific classroom appropriately, use some technique in order to make teaching and learning process is more effectively, and encourage student motivation since the teachers uses an interesting method and technique in the classroom successfully. It is worthwhile mentioning that the following definitions are mainly based on works by Brown, 1987, and Richard and Rogers, 1989. As you can see, methodology consists of teaching approach, teaching method, teaching technique, teaching strategy, and teaching tactic. Teaching approach based on Garcia, 1989, state that an approach is encompasses the whole orientation of teaching and is an enlightened viewpoint toward teaching which provide philosophy to the whole process of instruction. Approach give the overall wisdom. It provide direction and set expectation to the entire spectrum of the teaching process. Furthermore, approach sets the general rule or general principle to make learning possible. There are 4 points of teaching approach. The first one is communication nature approach. Based on Kassen and Terrell, 1981 until 1982, identify the nature approach as traditional approach that the teaching learning is based on the use of language in communicative situation without recourse to the native language. Approach is similar to natural method, but natural approach is emphasizing on input rather than practice. The step of learning language is listening, speaking, and written form. The goal of learning foreign language is language acquisition as a way of learning the language in unconscious process. The learners have to be able to use the language meaningful communication. The second is structural approach. The structural approach means the arrangement of words in such a way as to form a suitable pattern of a sentence. The mastery of sentence structure is considered to be more than the acquisition of vocabulary. In structural, content words are also taught. The selection of content words are directed by their usefulness, simplicity, and teachability. An approach situation should be created to practice the structure and to relate its meaning and to build up a vocabulary of content words. Even structure is separately taught. The term is predated in an appropriate situation by the teaching. The next is humanistic approach. In the humanistic perspective, it is generally regarded that all people have similar needs throughout the world, emphasizing the similarities between all members of the human race rather than the many differences. It is an approach believes that human relationship and interhumanistic perspective are sure people seek value, meaning, and creativity in all they do. It is understand that people action are of paramount importance. Indonesia has applied humanistic approach through curriculum 2013 that emphasizes four main points. First, students must be responsible for spiritual aspect and to be good behavior in social aspect. Second, coherence between main core competence and basic competence. Those teachers focus on their competence or professionalism and ability while they still show their good characteristic as a professional teacher during teaching and learning process. The third is to make teachers are more creative because they can be flexible to develop teaching method and teaching materials. And the fourth is taxonomy. Taxonomy is applied in all level education in order to get the target of learning process. Situational holistic approach. A holistic approach means taking care of something totally in all aspects. As an example, when we are saying holistic living, a holistic approach in learning and teaching is about helping children learn the purpose of why something needs to be learned. What is that they are learning, how it's going to be used in real life, and how it's connected to the learner's life.
And next, teaching method. To appraise the teaching method is good and effective. The following characteristic will tell if it is so. First, good method recognize individual difference. 2. If it provides student learning. 3. If it facilitates growth and development. And 4. If it achieves and desired result of the teacher as the reflect in her or his interaction objectives. And the next teaching technique. A technique is implementation that which actually takes place in a classroom. It is particular trick, strategy or contrivance used to accomplish an immediate objective. Technique must be consistent with a method and therefore in harmony with an approach as well. It can also be a teaching technique, is well-defined procedure used to accomplish a specific activity or task. It is a teacher, particular style or trick used to accomplish an immediate objective. Then teaching strategy. Taba 96 and focus attention on the concept of teaching strategy. In here 5, it was used to study teaching as a global process. Rather, it was necessary to identify particular teaching strategy required for particular types of instructional objective. The main aim of strategy she proposed was the development of children's thinking skill. It can also be a teaching strategy referred to the methods, technique, procedure, and process that a teacher uses during instructional. It was generally recognized that teaching strategies are multi-dimensional and their effectiveness depends on the context in which they are applied. Next, teaching tactics. According to Bloom, 1964, tactics are focused on master learning project-centered approach, teacher-centered classroom. As a tactic, master learning is the best understood as an especially case of question reference instruction in which the objective of instruction more apparent to student and keep the student to achieve the objective. Project center approach, it mainly focuses on individual student in order to fulfill all the requirements required for the effective strategy. It can also be a teaching tactic, schooling influence or influencing without the teacher, the way he behave in the instruction situation in working towards the development of the strategy. Okay, in the last summary, approach give the overall wisdom. It provides direction and set expectation to the entire spectrum of the teaching process. Furthermore, approach set the general rule or general principle to make learning possible. Teachers are able to use central approach, method or strategy and technique or tactic to teach their classroom in order to get the objective or target or learning based on instructional. Thank you.